The deep rumble of motorcycles shook the hospital parking lot. Dozens of men, clad in leather and steel, stood silent as statues. Their leader, Jake "Iron" Holloway, was on his last stretch. Cancer had crept through his body like a slow, burning fire, leaving him with mere days. Yet it wasn't the disease that tormented him. It was the weight of a life spent recklessly. Jake lay in his hospital bed, his rough hands clenching the blanket. "I rode hard, fought harder, but what do I have to show for it?" His voice trembled. "No family, no legacy, just a gang that'll forget my name by next year." His right-hand man, Razor, gave his shoulder a firm squeeze. "You got it all wrong, Iron, and we got someone here to prove it." Jake scoffed, exhausted. Then the door swung open. His breath caught in his throat. Walking in with that familiar calm presence was Keanu Reeves. A wave of stunned silence filled the room. The toughest men in the city, all lost for words. Keanu pulled up a chair, a soft smile playing on his lips. "Hey, Jake, I heard you needed a partner for your final ride." Jake blinked. You came? But why?" Keanu leaned forward. "Because, my friend, you and I have more in common than you think." Jake had lived by his own rules, carving a reputation as a man who never backed down. But the price had been steep. His only son, Danny, had walked out on him years ago. His wife had left, tired of his recklessness. Respect was all he had left, but it suddenly felt meaningless. Now, facing the man who had suffered so much, yet remained standing, Jake felt small. "You wouldn't understand what it's like to throw away a life," he muttered. Keanu's eyes darkened with memories. "I lost my best friend, River Phoenix, before I had a chance to save him. My daughter never took her first breath. And the woman I loved? She was gone before we could build a future. You think I don't know loss?" Jake's jaw tightened. "But here's the thing," Keanu continued, voice steady. "Regret? It's just a story we trap ourselves in. And stories can be rewritten." Jake let out a hollow laugh. "Rewrite what? I'm out of time." Keanu smiled knowingly. "Not yet." From his pocket, Keanu pulled out a small, aged motorcycle keychain. It was rusted, but the craftsmanship was unmistakable. He placed it gently in Jake's trembling palm. "This belonged to someone I loved. He gave it to me the night before he died. Told me that no matter how lost we feel, there's always another road ahead. I didn't believe him then, but now I do." Jake's fingers closed around the charm, a flicker of something old and buried rising in his chest. Keanu's voice softened. "You think your life was wasted? That young kid in your club, the one you stopped from throwing his life away in a bar fight, he named his firstborn after you. That waitress you tipped extra every holiday, she used that money to keep her mother's house. And your son, Danny never stopped wondering if his father would ever come back." Jake's breath hitched. "Danny still cares?" Keanu nodded. "The road's not done, Jake. Make the call." With unsteady fingers, Jake reached for Razor's phone and dialed a number he never thought he'd call again. The phone rang, once, twice. Then, "Dad?" Tears filled Jake's tired eyes. "Danny, I failed you, son." Silence. Then a deep breath. "Yeah, you did. But I'm still here." Jake exhaled, something inside him shifting. The burden he had carried for years was suddenly lighter. A week later, engines thundered once again, but this time it wasn't for a funeral. It was for a ride. Jake, frail but determined, sat in a sidecar, gripping his son's arm. Danny was in the rider's seat. And Keanu? He stood by, watching, a knowing smile on his face. As the engines roared to life, Keanu whispered, "We're all chasing something, Jake. Might as well make it worth the ride." And with that, the dying biker rode on, not alone, not forgotten, but finally free.